Greetings Internet, it's Alex and Davey from Barefaced, and we have what looks like a boring guitar cab. Well, it's not boring because it's got our name on it, but it's not the most exciting looking thing in the world. But it's really cool, this. It's a radical 212H, except it's got an Activier in the back of it, so that's a Activier 2, so it's a 2x200 watt guitar power amp module. It's not really guitar specific, it's a power amp module, but it's also got preamps in it. So you've got a clean preamp for each side. It also has a passive input plate, so you can use this internal module that's built in, or you can put another amp on top, and it's stereo wired internally. It's got a switchable mono or stereo backplate, so you can run one amp into both speakers. You could run the internal amp into both speakers, or you could run 2 amps into one speaker each, or the internal amp, which is the stereo amp, into 2 speakers. So you really have all the options, and this one we have 2 Neo 250 Copperbacks fitted into it because they're really good for layered tones. They're 100 dB sensitivity, they're 250 watt power handling each. They're hilariously light. I mean, this is an easy one finger lift. I would lift it with my little finger, but I seem to have damaged both of them bouldering. And this is dual AVD, so yes, you're getting the AVD output from both speakers. That's mids and highs coming from both speakers out and around the room for better audibility, better tone, and the lows because of the Helmholtz resonator of the AVD at low frequencies from both. So normal radical just has one AVD and has one of the drivers low passed for better dispersion when you've got matched drivers. What's here, we're getting different signals because it's stereo. So yeah, we want the mids and highs from the front and back of both drivers to fill the room.
Yeah.
Yes. There's a lot in what looks like a boring box.
I played around with it since it came back from Origin Effects, which is where it was.
Yes, and they had... What speakers did they have in it?
V30s.
Right, 2 V30s.
And sounded great, but it was just heavier. And
yeah,
I tried it at a gig the other week, and it was fine. It was still like light for what it can do, but walking down the street I had to stop, pick up. It was only like 5 minutes down the road at the Rose Hill.
Right.
But with this, I feel like I could walk for hours with this. It's so light. It's hilarious.
And you found, because the Neo 250 Copperback's clean,
yes,
has a lot of power handling, you can layer stuff up.
I like layering loops before then playing, and quite often I don't disengage the loops, I kind of play over them. Kind of expect whatever I play over the top to kind of shroud whatever I've recorded. But I found with even the vintage 30, this no 60 watt isn't like low necessarily, but it just gets completely lost in the moment.
It's not actually the power handling. It's it's the voice coil excursion and the comb breakup. So it's the distortion caused by it working, whether it's coming from the motor system of the voice coil in the magnet, or whether it's from the cone flexing more.
Cool.
So a Neo 250 Copperback, it runs clean like a PA speaker.
Yes.
More, until you get loud, really loud.
I didn't think I needed, and I think when we tried a Copperback in a shootout in previous videos, I wasn't that taken back by it. I think because it was so clean, and I do generally like something. I do like a speaker with a bit of breakup. That's kind of why I prefer a Vox as an amp.
Yeah,
because you can get a really nice clean, but you hit it a bit harder. And
well, that's only got a greenback in it,
and it's only got a greenback,
really
so
fast.
25.
Yeah, and they really break up. It's really, again, it's not the power handling. That's just quite a flimsy cone that breaks up and sounds cool when it does it, but doesn't go very loud.
Yeah, and I think I've realised with my rig, I need something that can hold a really clean signal, and yeah, something that I can layer multiple times. So the way I've got this set up, seeing it's stereo, we have the output from the simplifier is going into the radical, split left and right with a stereo tremolo and a looper. And with the looper, I've done this thing called input split, which I've done in a couple of videos already. So even though whatever I play will come out of both speakers, the moment I engage the loop, the first loop will go to just the left speaker, and then when I engage the second loop, that will go to the right speaker. So it allows for a little bit of room, but then I still have the option to layer both sides and then play something on top. So I could have these 2 left and right loops and then have a stereo trem on top of it, which is not what I was going for originally. And then I think I just started yeah, I just started thinking how to make the sound more expansive in a 3-piece. It's changed how, hasn't really changed how we sound, but it's changed my approach to making music, live music, and I'm really excited to try it out like in an actual live setting, because I think before I've just put everything through just one speaker, maybe two, but always in mono.
Yeah.
So this is going to be the first time actually trying it in a full band setup, and I think it sounds really good. Still some tones, I think I still need to dial in some tones. At the moment I'm getting my dirty and my fuzzy tone from the Machinist, which is great because it has the parallel clean channel, so I can get a little bit of the body from like the clean signal through. Black hole symmetry, which has a fuzz, pitch shifting, reverb, modulated delay, the Dalai Lama with extreme, with multiple preset modes. As I said, the stereo tremolo, the Walrus Monumental, and the pitchfork. So you should hear all of it in somewhat stereo, but you're only going to get the true stereo feel, I guess, from the tremolo when I start doing the panning. So yeah, this is what the clean signal is. Yeah. Well, it's all right, doesn't it?
It does. It really works.
So
It's so fascinating hearing the Copperbacks out front and out the back with the dual AVD and the clarity.
Yeah.
It just wherever you go, you can hear that the sound is coming from here.
Yeah.
But it's going everywhere.
Mm.
I don't know what proportion of people who watch these videos have heard one of these AVD cabs in person. I imagine a lot of them haven't.
Mm.
From the number we've made versus the number watching videos.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's so weird. I mean, it's good. It's good for us. It's just challenging to explain to you guys. But you know, we should probably stick a mic behind them. We could just turn the cab round.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it is mad how this clarity, because the sound... You see, cone speakers are inherently directional. They're not as directional as the simplistic physics would say of them. But they are quite directional because they're quite big compared to the sound waves that are coming off them. The AVD slot, which will pop up magically if Davey does something, or I'll just wave this cup around, which has one. There we are. The AVD slot lets the sound through a narrow space, and then this guides it out to wider dispersion. So it really spreads the sound out much more than a cone speaker can. And then once it's out, well, this is a room. Rooms are full of reflecting surfaces, so it just gets round to you. And most of what we hear is reflected sound, as you will notice if anyone speaks right into your ear.
Yeah.
It sounds really weird.
It
because
does.
we're not used to hearing voices that are direct like that. If there's that, what's that YouTube thing that people like?
ASMR.
Oh, can't stand it. I just feel like someone sneaked up on me and is about to murder me. You know, it's just horrible.
Yeah, I know some people that when it was a craze, there's some people when they found it, they couldn't go to sleep without it.
Right.
They had to watch an ASMR video, and that was the only thing that kind of settled them. Which, yeah, I think I have the same thing. It kind of puts me on edge.
But this ability of you've got this relatively narrow cone of sound from the front from these speakers, and then you've got this big expansive thing that just gets round to you.
Yeah.
You know, even if you're right on top of the cab on a small stage, it just gets to your ears, and not just your ears, but your bandmates and the audience.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't seem to cause problems with extra bleed through the mics, ever. Have you noticed that? No one ever does. People say, oh, well, I'm going to be bleeding, the sound engineer's going to hate it. And I've never heard a bad thing from a sound engineer about these. They all seem to be like, oh, barefaced cab, that'll be easy then.
No, I think if anything, it reduces stage bleed because you need less in your monitors.
Yeah.
That's why sound engineers generally love them. Because actually they find...
And you don't need to turn them up as loud to hear yourself, either. So
Exactly.
it's a win-win.
Yeah.
You don't get the hot spots that cause the problems with bleed and feedback. You just get a more even spread of sound around the room.
Yeah. It's
Do you
going to be
wanna play
interesting.
and I'll just turn it round whilst you're playing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just play the same kind of stuff. put a bit of pitchfork there as like a fifth down blend with the signal, because that's the other thing. I think it works so well at holding the low end.
Did you notice the sort of changes as I rotated it?
I did, but
And I know it's hard to think whilst you're playing.
I did notice the changes, but I was surprised that when I had... It's not that surprising, obviously, now, because of doing this for so long. But when I had the back of the cab with the dual AVDs, I was amazed at how similar the sound is.
Yeah, it is.
Almost the same.
Yeah.
Almost the same, but like you said, it's like the lows
And
are kind of being
you know what
mixed.
I noticed? Which probably wasn't so obvious from where you're standing. But wherever I went in the room, when the cab was this way around, it sounded very consistent. But the cab was there. My brain knew the cab was there, hear the cab was there.
Yeah.
When I turned the cab round for 180 degrees and moved around the room, the sound was again consistent, but the cab didn't sound like it was there. The cab sounded like it was there.
Yeah.
Because when you turn it round, and this is quite a hard wall, and the front speakers are quite directional because you can't get round that without them not sounding like a guitar speaker.
Yeah.
So that's why we do the AVD, so you can have the sound of a guitar speaker but actually have good dispersion, like a good PA speaker. That directional sound comes straight to here and bounces off that, and you locate off that echo, that first reflection, because it was it's such a clear bounce. My brain is totally hearing, even though I've got the AVDs here pointing at me because it was the other way around.
Yeah.
That first bounce is what I was hearing, and it was hearing like that was the location. But when it's this way around and the AVDs are the things throwing the sound out, they throw it in a much more diffuse way, which means your brain still locks onto that sound off the front and still hears the cab as being there. It's psychoacoustics. It's your brain using stereo imaging, essentially, to figure out where things are, which is why we have hearing. We don't have hearing for listening to music. We have hearing for locating where things are that are about to eat us or we're about to eat, essentially. It's just a survival mechanism. And being able to locate stuff is important. And that's why we get confused by a single clear reflection like that. It throws us off where something is. But yeah, it just shows how well the AVD works, just sending it round. And when it was sideways, I could hear it really well out there and not have the location confusion. Because that first echo from this far and sideways is off a bunch of cabs covered in cloth with cone stuff, or another bunch of cabs. It's not such a clear echo. So your brain doesn't go, oh, it's over there. Weird.
So weird.
But reassuringly weird. Good weird.
Yeah, good weird. Should we try something heavy for it now? See how it copes?
I want to hear how those speakers do heavy. Those Copperbacks are great, aren't they?
They're so good. Oh, yeah.
Even more heavy people buying them.
Yes,
I think they're really good for heavy music. I just think you have to adjust your tonal approach to some of the gear beforehand.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
The weight they have low down, and the tightness and the clarity and the detail and the... But I think if you go in with your amp set as it always was with, say, a V30, you'll just be like, oh my God.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But if you dial it in, they're really good.
Yeah. I'd say with this, there's more of the... I've put more of the mid scoop on, I'd say. I've also...
It was very noticeable when you took the clean power on and off.
Yeah.
That.
Which is still something I'm kind of playing around with. In theory, it's a great addition to have.
Because I have it on all the time.
Yeah.
Bass nowadays. I thought I'd be taking it off more often, but I never seem to.
It kind of makes sense with... It does obviously make sense with bass, and I thought it'd make sense with guitar, but again, needs to dial it in. I think, like I said, it sounded great. I think it sounded great going through like a single speaker, whether it's a Vox or using the tweaker going into a reformer. I think there's so much going on here that it might get a bit overwhelmed. But yeah, like... That's slightly less of the actual clean signal.
Yeah.
So I think it does fattening up without necessarily hearing the strums.
Yeah, well, bear in mind you can use the tone control on it. You could back off the highs on that with the knob.
So
Turn it left and you lose the highs.
I think it's the mids mostly that I can hear coming through. But
But it sweeps quite low.
yeah. Nice. Yeah.
It rocks.
Sounds great. Sounds great, yeah.
Cool.
It's just a light but mighty rig.
Yeah, this is a monster.
I mean, even if you're not doing the pedal board and the amp situation modelling, whether it's your HX or simplifier, something analog, something digital, and you still prefer a tube amp, an amp that goes on top, still that with incredible.
But as the active thing, you've got 400 watts of amp power and 500 watts of speaker power handling in a cab that weighs this much. This will appear here, the number.
Yeah.
Just weighs this much, which isn't a lot, as you will agree.
Yes.
It's exactly that amount.
I agree.
That amount that we both said.
Great. Yeah.
But you can put an amp on the top because this is the active passive version.
Yes. Exactly.
So you'd be like, today I shall take my pedal board rig because I've got a gig, and next week I'm in the studio, so I shall use my big valve thing that I can't be bothered to take to gigs, but sounds awesome. Recording.
Best of both worlds. But also, if you're just not if you're not somebody that needs an active cab, just a passive version of this.
I guess we should try the dual AVD Radical in a video, head to head with a single AVD.
Yes.
Radical. Because we've got
one there.
Is that one? That's not a 112. No, that is one. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
There we are. It's on the agenda.
That is on the agenda.
Let us know what else you'd like to hear.
Yes.
And we shall be back.
We will. We will be back sometime soon.
Soon. We hope, depending on how fast we edit things. Goodbye. Like and subscribe.
Yes.
Tell your friends. Actually, tell people you don't like as well. Just make everyone else sound better.